Secretary Noem, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Thank you so much for being here at the conclusion of just a devastating week. I do want to start with the investigation into the attack on those two Guards members. What is the latest you can tell us about the attack, the suspect, Ramanullah Lakhanwal, and what you have learned about the motive, Madam Secretary?
Well, we know that this individual came into the country under Operation Allies Welcome and during the Biden administration and that disastrous withdrawal that we all watched unfold in 2021. He's been in this country and was in the Washington state area. We do know that we're talking to his contacts and going through information, continuing to gather that as we go forward, but we're going to use every tool at our disposal to bring him to justice and make him pay for what he has done, not just to America, but how he's devastated these families and taken the life of one of our soldiers and devastatingly injured another one that we're still praying for each and every day. My heart goes out to Andrew and Sarah's families. I can't imagine what they're going through. And President Trump is absolutely dedicated to making sure that he's bringing this individual to justice. And anyone that he would have talked to, anyone that he knows that would have known about this plan and this attack, he will absolutely bring in, and there will be consequences and they will pay.
Yeah, and our condolences to the family of the Guards member who did pass. I do want to go back to this question, Madam Secretary. Do you know what the motive was at this point? Do you believe the suspect acted alone?
You know, we're still going through all of that information, and I'll let the FBI and DOJ reveal new information. But I will say we believe he was radicalized since he's been here in this country. We do believe it was through connections in his home community and state, and we're going to continue to talk to those who interacted with him, who were his family members, talk to them. So far, we've had some participation, but anyone who has information on this needs to know that we will be coming after you and we will bring you to justice. We absolutely will persecute you because we do know that we will never allow this to continue to happen in our country. Allow individuals who came to our country that were unvetted by Joe Biden, allowed to run free and loose. We are going to bring them to justice and make sure that they're returned out of this country if they aren't here for the purposes of being an American.
I want to follow up with you. I mean, you say something very notable. You say he was radicalized here. This suspect, we should note, was a member of the CIA-trained strike force. According to former intelligence and military officials, he would have undergone extensive vetting during his tenure there and afterwards. It is worth noting Citizenship and Immigration Services, an agency which is a part of DHS, approved the suspect's asylum application in April of this year. Why did the Trump administration grant the suspect asylum in April? Did you know then that he was moving toward radicalization?
Well, Kristen, you need to remember that when this abandonment of Afghanistan happened, the Biden administration put people on airplanes, brought them to the United States without vetting them. They brought them into our country and then said they would vet them afterwards. And then at that time, to do a good job of vetting people, you need to have cooperation of that government that is from their country. You have to have a stable government that will give you information, contacts, background information, and biometrics that you may need to identify that individual, their dates of service. All of that vetting information was collected by Joe Biden's administration that was used and in the process. So President Trump, thankfully, has completely changed that. We are now using all social media content. We're going after what they have been doing with their contacts, their biometric data information we are collecting. Now, when we vet individuals under this administration, we know who they are, why they are here, and going through that. Unfortunately, this individual, that entire process happened under Joe Biden's watch.
Well, but just to be very clear, I want to go back to what happened on the Trump administration's watch. He was extensively vetted in order to serve alongside U.S. service members as a part of the CIA-trained strike force. But in terms of what happened on the Trump administration's watch, just to be very clear, what vetting did the Trump administration do before giving this suspect asylum?
The vetting process, Kristen, happens when the person comes into the country, and Joe Biden completely did not vet any of these individuals, did not vet this individual, waited until he got into the United States, and then that application for asylum was opened under the Joe Biden administration when he was the president in the White House and allowed that to go forward with the information that they provided. That's the Biden administration's responsibility. This is the consequences of the dangerous situation he put our country in when he allowed those people to infiltrate our country during that abandonment of Afghanistan. And that's why I'm so grateful we have a president now that isn't going to allow it to happen, that he now has put in place measures under his watch at the Department of Homeland Security that we are bringing in new information on vetting, new information to use, such as what do they do on Facebook? What do they do on TikTok and other social media platforms? And who are they talking to? Who are their conversations with? And we use their biometric data information now to track to make sure they are who they say they are and they're here for their right intentions.
And we are going to talk about some of the steps the president is taking, but I just want to be very clear about this because his asylum was approved in April of this year on the Trump administration's watch. So just to be very clear, was there a vetting process in place to approve that asylum request?
Yeah, the vetting process all happened under Joe Biden's administration.
But was he vetted when he was granted asylum? Are you saying he wasn't vetted when he was granted asylum?
Vetting is happening when they come into the country, and that was completely abandoned under Joe Biden's administration. That's the irresponsibility that has completely devastated our country, Kristen, put us in such a dangerous position. I don't think people realized when Joe Biden was in the White House exactly how he was allowing our country to be infiltrated with people that we didn't know who they were. Some of them we did know were dangerous, and we went after as soon as they came into this country. But under this program, we could have up to 100,000 people that came in from Afghanistan that may be here to do us harm. And President Trump is absolutely dedicated to getting them out of our country.
Okay, we have a lot more to get to. I want to talk about how the administration is responding. President Trump on Thursday promised to, quote, permanently pause migration from all third world countries. Is the administration ending all legal immigration into the United States?
The president is absolutely determined to stop all processes at this point in time from third world countries until we can have a thorough opportunity to go through these individuals, know that they're here for the right intentions, and that they even should be in our country to begin with. He's putting Americans first, their safety first. And these third world countries don't have stable governments. They can't sustain them. They can't tell us who they are. And that's really the consequence of what we're seeing unfold with the violence on our streets, is because these countries that people have been traveling to our shores from for so many years under the Biden administration, their governments didn't tell us who they were. We don't have a proper vetting process. So that's one of the things I'm so grateful for, is that President Trump has been bold enough to say, you know what, we're going to stop. We're not going to allow this to continue until we have a process in place that ensures that it actually has integrity for people that will protect us and keep us safe.
Well, the Director of Citizenship and Immigration Services posted Friday that the agency, quote, has halted all asylum decisions until we can ensure that every alien is vetted and screened to the maximum degree possible. For people fleeing violence and persecution who were hoping for protection here in the United States, one of the hallmarks of this country, is the United States now closed to them officially?
They will be properly vetted. They will have new standards put in place, applied to them to ensure that they're here for that purpose.
When will the asylum process
Nobody's
start
coming
again?
here until we're sure that they're going to be someone who truly deserves that program, deserves that opportunity. And under the last administration, that just wasn't happening. We had all kinds of people come in and use those programs for nefarious purposes, and it's going to stop.
Okay. When will the asylum process start again?
Well, it'll start when we know that we have dealt with the backlog that we have, Kristen. One of the things that nobody's talked about yet is that Joe Biden left us with a backlog of 1.5 million asylum cases. They allowed so many people to abuse that program that they didn't even process the paperwork. So people who maybe, as you would say, could have credibly claimed this, they weren't even getting processed for years and years because they were allowing it to be abused in such a way. So that backlog needs to be cleared up. The individuals who are here in this country on that program need to be vetted under our standards that we're implementing under President Trump to ensure that they even should be in our country. And if they're not, removed immediately.
Will you deport people with pending asylum claims, Madam Secretary?
We will if they should be. Absolutely. Yes, we are going to go through every single person that has a pending asylum claim, has an asylum claim here in this country. You know, one of the requirements of asylum is that you have to come in every single year for a checkup and an interview process and a revetting. And that is something that we're going to expedite and happen immediately with anyone who does have that asylum claim today, and ensure that they deserve to still be in this country, that they still have the purposes for which they claimed that asylum in place, and that they're not here being radicalized and perpetuating dangerous criminal activity against our Americans.
All right. President Trump wrote on Thursday, quote, "Only reverse migration can fully cure this situation." On Friday, DHS posted, quote, "Remigration now." As you probably know, this term has been used in different situations, but including by the far right in Europe to call for the mass deportation of non-white immigrants. How specifically does the Trump administration define remigration?
Well, President Trump has been working towards cleaning up the mess that Joe Biden left us ever since he came into the White House.
But how do you define that word, Secretary Noem? How do you define that word?
Well, first of all, we have criminal illegal aliens we've been targeting since day one. We have removed millions of people from this country already just in the few short months that President Trump has been president by making sure we're going after criminal illegal aliens that are murderers, rapists, and criminals, and getting them out of our country, bringing them to justice, and then encouraging people to go home. If you're here illegally and breaking our laws, you can leave now, and you may get the opportunity to come back someday. But if you wait until we detain you, and we will deport you, and you'll never get the chance to come back to America and visit us or become a citizen. We're going to continue to do that, go after those criminals, go after those individuals that came in under programs that were broken on the Biden administration, and people who were in place and leadership in that crazy 4 years we lived through before President Trump came in. Thank God we have a president now that recognizes that letting all of these people into our country that we don't know who they are is dangerous, that we let in terrorists, we let in criminals, we let in mentally unstable people. They shouldn't be here. They're going to leave, and President Trump is going to ensure that Americans become first and the priority, and that they're going to be safe on their streets again.
Secretary Noem, let me turn to my final topic. In a filing in federal court this week, the Justice Department said that when the administration was ordered back in March to stop sending detained migrants to a mega prison in El Salvador, you personally made the final call to continue the flights anyway. Is that correct? Do you acknowledge that?
You know, we have court filings going on and decisions that are going forward. I'll let them continue to play through that process.
But did you make that call?
I'm proud of President Trump and his leadership and the decisions that we have made. And the decisions that are made on deportations, where flights go and when they go, are my decision at the Department of Homeland Security. And we will continue to do the right thing and ensure that dangerous criminals are removed.
So that you're saying that it was your decision. It sounds like the judge wanted to ensure that people were given due process. He said very clearly, quote, "Any plane containing these folks that is going to take off or is in the air needs to be returned to the United States, but those people need to be returned to the United States. However that's accomplished, I leave to you. But this is something that you need to make sure is complied with immediately." Did you defy the court's order, Madam Secretary?
No, Kristen, and that's one of the things that we continue to face across this country is activist judges who are using radical decisions that have no standing and no grounds to try to stop what President Trump is doing to protect America and to keep us safe. So we'll continue to do the right thing, continue to work and protect Americans, no matter what radical judge comes out and tries to stop us. We'll do the right thing and know that we're on the side of the law, the side of the Constitution, and the side of the American people.
All right. Secretary Noem, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.